Loose, a bomb out of the right hand of Stafford. Matthew for MVP.
Can't wait for you to cheer me on next year when we're out there kicking. So I'll see you guys next year.
The fans out here at Sue Bierman Park. See if we see any Rams fans. They'll be excited about what they heard there from Matthew Stafford saying he will return next year. He does win the MVP as we welcome you in to a Friday edition of NFL Live. We're getting really close to the Super Bowl, y'all. We got Marcus Spears, Mina Kimes, Ryan Clark, Dan Orlovsky. There's the wave. That means we can get going. And this was a really close MVP race. Stafford and Maye separated by just 5 points. It's points, not votes, but very close. Dan, did they get it right?
Yeah, I think so. One of these guys was going to win, and we were all going to say, yeah, and then one guy was going to finish in second place. I want to say lose and be like, well, they're going to be disappointed. Both had unbelievable seasons. I think Drake Maye is going to go into next year and be one of the heavy favorites to get back to, very much so being in the conversation. The quality of throws that Stafford made on a week-to-week basis, I think that was a real determining factor. Laura, you talked about it. Single-digit points differential. I think it's one of the closest of all time. But, yeah, I think Matthew was the deserving winner. Drake Maye's season was sensational.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I don't think you go wrong as long as you're not the guy that votes for somebody else when it comes to the MVP. I mean, Matthew Stafford had an amazing season. Drake Maye did as well. I think what this does for Matthew Stafford, though, it puts him in some of those all-time great conversations. People like Drew Brees, who was obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer and deserved to be so. He never won an MVP. It says that for a year, Matthew Stafford was the best player in the entire world at America's most important sport. Well earned, well deserved, and look forward to seeing him next year.
One vote difference, I think, captures just how hard it is with
Mm-hmm.
MVP because you're considering value, dominance, the team, all of it. And I think they were both deserved. Similar to last year with Josh Allen, Lamar. Those were also two deserving candidates. But if I'm a Rams fan, I'm not thinking about MVP.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about him talking about how he's coming back. And you remember last season they had some contract drama. That would put me in a very good headspace because this should be a dominant team next year.
Yeah, I was indifferent on him or Maye. I thought they both could deserve it. I was on First Take this morning with Cam Newton, and I think he made the best point. The fact that Matthew Stafford is still one of the old school, technically, quarterbacks that was able to win an MVP by managing the pocket, being accurate with throws, and putting the ball where it needed to be. So kind of an old school MVP with these gaudy numbers. Congrats, man.
I know we need to move on. Dan does this all the time. Seeing Kyron Williams and Sean McVay's face when he decided or when he announced that he was coming back, said all you need to know about his value to that team and what the person means to the locker room.
I'm glad you said that. Some more good news for the Rams, potentially new on NFL Live. Adam Schefter, of course, reporting this. Stafford lost his OC, Mike LaFleur, to a head coaching job. Adam says with Peter Schrager that Cliff Kingsbury will be on McVay's staff in L.A. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. All right, so Maye didn't win MVP as we turn our attention to the Patriots, but he did lead the NFL with a 77 total QBR during the regular season, but he's lost 26 points off that total during the postseason. The story's been the sacks, right? He's taken 5 sacks in all 3 playoff games, but he's actually getting pressured at a lower rate than he did during the regular season, and the off-target rate has nearly doubled in the postseason. Marcus, what's the single most important thing for Drake Maye in this game on Sunday?
When he sees it, let it fly, okay? The accuracy, you talked about layering the football in these zone coverages. And at some point in this game, Drake Maye is going to have to, with his legs, make the Seattle Seahawks pay for pressure. And I'm talking about one of those situations where he breaks a tackle or somebody gets out of their lane and alley and he goes. This is going to be about explosive plays for the New England Patriots, and I think he's going to have to be the catalyst for that, obviously with his arms, but his legs, when he catches them in pressure, that is when I think he can devastate in opportunities from an offense.
I love the accuracy standpoint. The word I've used is precision all week. I think if you're New England, Josh McDaniels, Drake Maye, you have to get Mike McDonald to blitz. If you can get him to blitz, that's not where they want to be. They want to play in that 4-man front, 7 guys in coverage and play and shell. Once you get him to blitz, it's like, all right, you got a little doubt going on in his mind. How do they do that? First of all, I do believe 6 offensive lineman run game is a big part of this because you just want to try and chip away a little bit of times at that. There was moments when last week Seattle, LA did their 3 tight end grouping. Something out of that. The second thing is you got to throw out of 11 personnel. And I know this is the final play of the game, but 11 personnel with how New England operates has been a big deal. And then you're going to get 3 opportunities in this game for Drake Maye. Marcus, you talk about the explosives. You got to make them. You're not going to beat this defense unless you make them. But the key has got to be you got to get McDonald to think, this isn't working, I got to send pressure. Once you get him there, then he's off his kind of ideal balance.
So I think I'll agree the Seahawks defense, if not the best, one of the best in the NFL. But something that I personally found interesting when I was kind of diving into their numbers was they are the best defense in the NFL, when quarterbacks play in rhythm, meaning throwing the ball between 2.5 and 3 seconds, which is most throws. But quick game, so anything under that, they were 14th in EPA per play. And then extended plays, everything over that, they were 12th. So this kind of goes off what you're saying.
Not bad, just not dominant.
No, they're still great. But I really believe, and I think the fact that they're so good against quarterbacks in rhythm reflects how well coached they are, right? So either the ball's got to come out super quick, and that can be explosives too. That's not just short passes. Or Drake Maye has to buy time with his legs and make those explosive plays outside of structure. To me, it's like you can't live in between that for much of this game because Seattle is so well coached and so disciplined against your traditional drop back.
Yeah, and I think another thing with Mina talking about how well they play against quick game, it's because you don't have it figured out that quickly. You don't know where people are dropping. You don't know where the coverage is rotating. What will be the cloud side? What could be the quarter side? And so I do believe that those parts are confusing. But if I'm Drake Maye, there was a time during the middle of the season when this offense struggled, they found Hunter Henry. Right? You look at games like Cincinnati, also the New York Giants, games where he was able to create big plays. Against Cincinnati, he had a big play of 36 yards. The next game, 28. Even in the playoffs against the Chargers, when they needed to get a shot down the field, they have found Hunter Henry on the corner. Can you attack some of these linebackers and use the middle of the field if you're Drake Maye by getting him the football and also using Travion Henderson and using Ramondre Stevenson, especially late in downs where you can get the football, maybe the zone coverage is pushed back, and now you get yards after catch.
I'm testing him in Warrior coverage on that angle. I would regardless because I think as great as he's been, he's better in run defense than he is in coverage.
Ankle.
But you have seen teams go after him early in games using their tight ends.
What's the adjustment defensively if New England starts coming out and it's like a quick hitter, a quick game, a screen, something like that? Is it settle? Is it what's the adjustment?
I think early it's patience. Right?
Yep.
Early, it's patience because when you start this game, it's one, how is Nick Eamon-Warren and how are we calling this defense around his injury? There's also the anxiousness, right? The nerves that you start this game out. You don't want to allow that as a coach to get you to change from what has helped you get to where you are. If they get off early, you let them, you tackle, you play red zone defense, you talk about it on the sideline. Now, if this continues in the game, it's how much man can you play and how comfortable
and we all
you
talk about the script at the beginning of the game. One of the big things we used to talk about on defense in Dallas was disrupt it. Disrupt the script. Try to get them off kilter early to get them going to things that they didn't necessarily want to get to until later parts of the game. That's going to be super important for Seattle, too. You don't want New England to ever feel comfortable
in rhythm
in this game.
You know, even when things have gotten out of rhythm for Drake Maye and this Patriots offense, they've found ways to hold on and still win, but it hasn't been necessarily the smoothest for him as 51 QBR in this postseason in the Super Bowl, the lowest by a QB to make the Super Bowl since Peyton Manning. We're just getting going here on NFL Live, talking about Jackson Smith and Jigba, Offensive Player of the Year, but could Sunday bring something more, even better? Plus, we've got our own awards to hand out, an all-new show that we're going to be debuting over the weekend. Let's get to some Super Bowl superlatives. Dan, most likely to win MVP on Sunday?
I'm going to go Jackson Smith and Jigba, fresh off his Offensive Player of the Year award in a game in the NFC title when he went 10 for 153. If I'm Clint Kubiak, the play caller in Seattle, and I've got one of the best, if not the best, wide receivers in football, I'm certainly either going to win the game because of them or lose because he couldn't get it done. If Seattle wins, I think JSN's got a great shot.
RC, who's most likely to lead the Super Bowl in rushing yards?
You know what? I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker III. He's been so big in what Seattle has done here down the stretch. His ability to get explosive plays, work the outside as well, but also being involved in the pass game. I know this isn't the question, but Kenneth Walker can also be one of those names we're talking about as an MVP of this game, and his ability in the red zone will be huge. We saw that come up huge and big against the Los Angeles Rams.
All right, Marcus, who's most likely to be on Big Man Ballin' when we head to Disneyland on Monday?
Yeah, I don't like to separate B&Bs because we all family, but I'm going Leonard Williams. I've seen this New England Patriots offensive line struggle. I think he's going to move around and find the matchups that are favorable for him. And Leonard Williams is going to have to be the catalyst as far as getting Drake Maye off of his spot, pressuring him as an individual. And he's been doing it all season long, so why would it change now?
We stay on this game to build out a play sheet presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. And for that, we turn to Mina. Mina, let's start with Drake Maye. Over under 1.5 touchdown passes for the Patriots quarterback on Sunday.
I'm going over, which is a little nerve-wracking because we know how good the Seahawks defense is. But to me, this is also about how good the Seahawks defense is against the run in the red zone. One of the best red zone run defenses in the NFL. I think New England is going to have to throw it. Over 1.5 is not too high in my mind. That's about what Seattle average is giving up, so I'm going to give it to him.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. All right, over under 6.5 receptions for Jackson Smith and Jigba in this one.
This is also an over. Everything Dan said about JSN, his impact, his importance in this game holds true. But the other thing I'll add is this. Even if New England puts Christian Gonzalez on him, we're going to talk about that. Kubiak is so good at finding ways through alignment and motion to get Jackson Smith and Jigba opportunities. He's going to have to in this game.
Give us a player you think finds the end zone in Super Bowl 60.
Give me Kenneth Walker, Seahawks running back. I talked about how good the Seahawks red zone run defense is. The Patriots red zone run defense has not been very good, and Kenneth Walker has been finding the end zone in the postseason. I think he continues to do so in this game. If they get inside the 10-yard line, he's getting the ball.
A $10 bet wins you $38. And on DraftKings Sportsbook, new customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins, and you get 1 month of ESPN on us. Download